following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's Tuesday morning. Good morning. How are you today? I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. And by the way, if you want to get in contact with us, if there's anything you would like to bring up on the programme, you can send us an email to dublintalks@98fm.com, dublintalks@98fm.com. You can send us a private message on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Now, what have we got for you on the programme today? Well, let me tell you. In a moment, we talk to the nurse who posted a photo of her payslip online to highlight how her profession is being treated. She wants to quash a rumour that if you're a highly qualified nurse, you're making a fortune. When you hear what she actually gets paid on a basic wage, you'll be a little bit shocked, I have to tell you. At 10:30, if you're a parent, you've probably done this, told lies to your kids in order to get them to eat healthy food. What are your tricks? We'll find out a little bit later on. We talk to a man who wants to see all children born in Ireland be made automatic citizens, even if the parents are here illegally. In other words, he wants to basically reverse the results of our referendum in 2004. And it's kind of been brought to the fore by that case, well, a number of cases, but in particular the case of that young boy, Eric from Bray, lived all his life in Bray, knows no other life than life in Bray, born to Chinese parents here in Ireland, but faces deportation, and it has kind of brought his case... his case has brought this whole conversation to the fore. We will talk about that a little bit later on. And we hear from a woman who is fed up receiving unsolicited, explicit photos from men that she meets online. They're all, well, not all, but a lot of them are sending photographs of their... and she's not happy, basically. We'll find out what her deal is a little bit later on. All that and much more between now and midday today. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. We're here until midday today. Now, as we know, the nurses' dispute kicks into strike action in just 2 weeks' time, unless it's resolved in the meantime. And this, as you know, is a dispute with the government over pay, but also over staffing levels and the fact that nurses are just rushed off their feet, they're not getting paid well, and so on. Well, one particular nurse has done the unusual thing of taking to social media and publishing a copy of a pay slip from a couple of weeks ago. And it's kind of... I was a bit shocked. This is a very highly qualified nurse who would be on the upper scales of pay in terms of nursing, yet her pay slip, her basic pay slip, is a little bit shocking in terms of what she actually comes home with. Her name is Joanna, and she joins me on the line. Joanna, explain to me, if you will, why you decided to post a copy of your pay slip online.
I suppose I tweeted my payslip because I was hearing the spin being done on media about how much I was supposedly earning, and I'm certainly not taking home 47,000 a year or anywhere near that figure. So I just really wanted people to see, here's my payslip. I'm a highly qualified, top of the scale ICU nurse. I showed people what my role is and what I do at work and how complex my job is. Okay,
so before I find out exactly how much your pay slip shows, now many people will have seen it on social media because it's been seen quite widely. Tell me about your qualifications and what exactly you do for work.
Yeah, so I'm an intensive care nurse. I'm qualified over 10 years. I did a 4-year degree in Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And I completed 2 postgrads, one in coronary care nursing and the other one in critical care nursing. So they're very specialist areas that I've gone into. I mind multiple different types of critically ill patients. I'm usually one-to-one with the patients. And these patients are on life support machines. They're on multiple types of machines. They're on various different infusions. Also, we don't have pharmacists in Ireland that cover at night shift or weekends at times. We don't have dietitians or physiotherapists at aside normal hours or holidays. And we take up the slack, nurses do. We implement those roles as well, yet we're paid considerably less than our peers who are equally qualified and have the same qualifications.
Okay, so let's find out about your pay slip, and it's very unusual of anybody to post publicly their pay slip. It's not even very often you'd see somebody else's pay slip. But your pay slip, which was from when? What date was it?
It's actually from last year. It's from 2018. That's when my pay slip's from. I wanted to show my basic pay slip. Obviously, I think people are very aware that we do get paid a small bit more if we work, say, a Saturday night or if we work night shifts.
Okay, so this was a basic pay slip without any overtime in it. Okay,
basic pay slip without any overtime in it. I wanted to show people that to make a normal wage, to bring our wages up, I really do have to the detriment of my own health, have to work night shift, which it suits a lot of people, but it doesn't suit me at all. But that's a very personal thing. I also have to work weekends. My partner works Monday to Friday, so he's left here with our daughter, and so I have to work very unsociable hours just to make a normal wage.
Okay, so with your basic wage without any overtime, your pay slip shows €1,120.80, and that is for 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah. So that's what I would get probably if I were to work just a normal Monday to Friday shift.
To work a Monday to Friday job without any overtime, your take-home pay would be €560 a week.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, that's not an awful lot of money. So what you're saying is in order to bring that money up to any sort of a level, you need to be working weekends and everything else, antisocial hours in order to make up some extra money with overtime.
That's right. I suppose really this whole thing really was to oppose my pay slip, to quash the spin of nurses' pay. Nurses don't want to strike, but we've really been pushed to this point. We've been highlighting staff shortages for the best part of a decade. And in fact, actually, there's 6% less nurses now than in 2008. And that's nearly 2,000 nurses, despite the ageing, growing population and the increase in chronic health conditions and needs of our patients. 70% of our new grads are citing that pay is a reason for them to want to leave. We are very short on nurses. So really the only way we can entice more nurses to stay in Ireland or to work in Ireland, we have actually now got a global bad reputation to work here, is to possibly look at our pay. Okay,
now let me find out, finally, Joanna, what made you decide? I know you were saying it was to highlight that you, as a very highly qualified nurse, you're not earning a small fortune. What sort of reaction have you gotten to posting your pay slip?
Well, I've gotten a really positive reaction from Irish people. I mean, the Irish public are behind this. They can see themselves. It doesn't matter what health insurance plan you have, the premium best. We all need the HSE. Our hospitals are ours. And if you're sick at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday or on a Christmas day, we're here for you. So definitely the Irish are behind this.
Now, have you had any response? Because I'm sure it's gotten back to them. Have you had any response from your employers?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I deal very closely with the INMO. They are obviously quite delighted that, people have posted their pay slips before, but no one's ever posted their face to the pay slip. And I suppose I'm someone to look at, and I make it a little bit more real because I actually exist as a face behind it. And so I haven't really talked to my employers about it, no. But
finally, what sort of, when these strikes kick in, what sort of damage do you think could be caused to the health service, or do you believe that this can and will be resolved fairly quickly?
I hope it's resolved. Very quickly. We're not looking for a pay rise. We're looking for pay restoration. We're just looking to look at nurses weren't employed between 2008 and 14. Leo Varadkar was Minister of Health in 14, and he realised that staff shortages was a serious issue, and then reopened the doors to re-employ nurses. We're now 5 years on from that, and we have not gained the nurses back. We have not gained the numbers back. Like I said, we are nearly 2,000 nurses less than back in 2008. There seems to be very short-term solutions, and the long-term solution really is that we need to get more nurses in. We need to employ nurses. We need to make the job more attractive. We need to make it safe as well for us. I mean, I can't imagine the A&E nurses today trying to deal with the overcrowding. I believe Limerick is the worst today. I actually feel very sorry for any nurse turning up to work to that.
Finally, Joanna, one of the issues that we have in the health service is that we're losing nurses. They're going abroad. They're going to the UK. They're going to Dubai, all sorts of places. Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing it yourself?
Absolutely, yeah, God, yeah. I've filled out the forms many a time and thought about it, but I guess I'm on personal reasons for have a family member who I want to stay around for them, and that's the reason I'm here. I continue to stay here, and I think there's a lot of reasons why a lot of nurses stay here, because, I mean, we women are caring people, the majority female workforce that are the nurses, but, I think family members turn to the nurse that's in the family to care for whoever is in the family, so that's my reasons for staying here.
All right, Joanna, it's a very brave thing of you to do, to not only publish your payslip, but to publicly talk about it as well. And I wish you well, and thanks very much, Lee, for talking to us on 98 FM.
Thanks a million, and take care.
All right, now, just as a kind of a follow-on to that, a Tala Bar, get a load of this. This is a place that knows where its bread is buttered. A Tala Bar and Restaurant has made a lovely gesture in support of striking nurses and midwives. The Brass Fox, which is located at Priors Gate beside the Square Shopping Centre, is offering 15% off to emergency personnel. Some 40,000 nurses and midwives plan to strike for 24 hours on the 30th of January. And in a post on Facebook, they said, "We stand with you nurses and midwives, so enjoy 15% off your meal in the Brass Fox when you show your staff badge." This offer also extends to other emergency personnel, the Gardaí, the RNLI, prison officers, fire and ambulance services. T's and C's apply. Now, they're not far from Tala Hospital, so, obviously they want their custom. Anyway, it's a good idea. That is in the Brass Fox at the Square. Now, some reaction to Joanna's call and her publishing of her payslip online. One message I got a second ago, and it really annoyed me. And it says, where's it gone? Oh, yes. Jesus, lads, $5.50 a week isn't bad for a 39-hour week. Now, I don't know what you're qualified at. I don't know what you work at. But if you think coming out with €550 a week after years of training, years of degrees, the sorts of pressures that nurses are under, you listen to that lady, the sort of work that she does, and she is a critical care nurse. So she is dealing with people in a critical state, and you think that that's an acceptable level of pay? Yeah, okay. Anyway, whatever is the only thing I can say to that. I mean, we mentioned about the fact that 600 people on trolleys yesterday. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, 550 a week ain't bad, really. Yeah, okay. Are you saving people's lives? Are you up all night looking after people who are on death's door? No, you're not. And you don't even have the balls to answer your phone, by the way. Yeah, anyway. And let me see. We had one or two more messages here. John wants to know, Adrian, why is your show always highlighting the liberal view? Oh, this is about the immigration thing, which we're going to talk about in a while, and about citizens and people being born here in Ireland not getting citizenship, and the proposal to change that law. We will be dealing with that in a couple of minutes, and we might get that man on. Now, next on the programme, In a few minutes, I'm going to play for you a conversation that we had recently on this programme with a man whose wife was hit by an uninsured driver. Well, you may have read this in the news today. The Motor Insurers Bureau of Ireland, and that's the organisation that deals with claims for uninsured drivers, people who are on our roads driving while the rest of us are paying for our car insurance. Well, anyway, the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland has warned that uninsured drivers who are responsible for road traffic accidents will face being pursued for substantial costs. Now, get a load of this. If you're somebody who's driving without insurance right now and taking that risk, if you're involved in an accident, the MIBI could do any one of the following: the seizure of your assets or your vehicle, mandatory debt repayments, and that's basically whatever debt you've run up due to driving an uninsured car because of an accident. They could issue bankruptcy proceedings against you, and the mandatory sale of your home or even imprisonment. Listen to that. Bankruptcy, mandatory debt repayments, and the mandatory sale of your home or even imprisonment to recoup the cost of any accident you might be involved in driving uninsured. And I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. Do you think this is fair? Here's what they said. We want uninsured drivers to understand that every time they get behind the wheel, they are taking a gamble which could jeopardise their freedom and cost them and their families hundreds of thousands of euro if they are involved in an accident. Now, are you somebody who does that? Do you think it is reasonable to be talking about, in order to recoup the losses of people involved in accidents driving without insurance, you could face bankruptcy, you could face the sale of your home, or even imprisonment in order for the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland to recoup the losses? Here's the bottom line. I pay for uninsured drivers. You pay for uninsured drivers if you're driving, if you're paying for insurance. You're actually subsidising them. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. In a moment, we'll be hearing a conversation with a man we had recently whose wife was hit by an uninsured driver. But before I get to that, let me just go back to the nurses for a second. And we were talking with Joanna, who published her pay slip, which showed a measly earning. Her take-home pay was €550 for a week for the work that they do. Mark, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Mark?
How are you, Adrian? Good morning.
Mark, you've a reason to be upset about this.
I think it's an absolute disgrace, the amount that the nurses and hospital staff that they're getting paid. Like, I was in hospital last year and I had a tear in the esophagus. I had to have surgery, and if it wasn't for the nurses on the ward, I vomited up 8 pints of blood, they said, and they had to push me from Blanchardstown to Bournemouth. But them nurses on that ward in Blanch, they saved my life. If they had, like, for them to get what they did and get me down to surgery and to Bournemouth as quick as they did, I would have died. The professor that done the surgery on me said I would have died, and it's just, I think it's terrible. They should be on a lot more, a decent wage at least. That 500 is just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, her take-home pay for an average week is 550 quid. Now, obviously, she can get more money if she works nights or if she works weekends or all of that.
So she should, like,
yes,
she's an intensive care.
She's an intensive care nurse. She's highly qualified. She is the sort of nurse that may well have saved your life, Mark, and that's the...
Exactly, and how many, and would have had to go through years of college training. Like, I think it's an absolute disgrace. And of all people, the likes of nurses, firemen, all that kind of, like, they should be on the wage that they deserve.
Okay, but what do you say to this message that came in a while ago? And it says, everybody has known for years that the HSE is a disaster area. Everyone knows that. And so did the nurses know how bad things were before they joined. So why did they join something knowing this? I have no pity for them. In other words, why become a nurse when you knew that the pay conditions were so bad? Do you know what I mean?
How long are they? That's probably a long time ago. Things have changed, and the country has got worse. The hospitals are a lot more busier the way now than it would have been years ago. They have to go through a lot. What they go through, and I've seen in some of the casualties, is just unbelievable.
I have to say now, I'm a little bit surprised. There's another message just after coming in on the same theme. Nurses knew the type of job and pay they were signing up for at the start of their nurse training. So why all the bull? Why all the whinging? Why? Asked John.
I wonder if these people would be saying that if they were in the hospital and they needed them nurses to save their lives. If they were the ones in hospital, and would they be given out the same as they are now?
But I have to say, I've seen nurses like you have yourself. I've seen the work they do. I've seen how hard they work. I've seen the pressure that they're under, which they may not have even realised when they get into it in the first place. And I think a lot of people support their demand for pay increases and more staff. We need more nurses. That's the biggest problem. Yeah, we need more nurses. All right, Mark, thanks very much indeed. Standing up for the nurses and highlighting the important role in saving his life. Now, after the break, I want to talk about uninsured drivers for a couple of minutes and find out how you feel about the fact that the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland is warning that you face the seizure of your assets, mandatory debt repayments, bankruptcy procedures if necessary, and the mandatory sale of your home and even prison. I'll take a quick break. Back in a second.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
Do you support cars being taken away from uninsured drivers, being impounded, being forced into bankruptcy if they can't afford to pay for an accident that they cause, facing the mandatory sale of their home or even imprisonment if they are involved in an accident without car insurance? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We have a huge problem in this country with people driving without insurance. And I've spoken to many of you before who do it. Your argument has always been, I can't afford the insurance, I have to get to work, blah, 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 blah. The rest of us can't afford the insurance either, but we pay it. And the argument has always been, if you can't afford insurance, you can't afford a car. It's as simple as that. They come hand in hand. Yet thousands and thousands of people every single year are driving without car insurance. Well, the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland has warned that you face the seizure of your car, you face being brought to court for the mandatory repayment of whatever money you owe due to being involved in an accident. They can take you for bankruptcy, and they could seize your home or even have you imprisoned for driving without insurance. And I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. A couple of weeks ago on this programme, we spoke to this man about what happened to his wife.
About 6 weeks ago, my wife was parked, I think you hear this, in the drive-through of McDonald's.
Right.
And she was rear-ended, right? Properly rear-ended now. Caused $2,500 worth of damage to my car. I was across the road in the Omni Shopping Centre and I came out and I went over and he tried to leave the scene. I took the keys out of his ignition. We waited for the guards for an hour and 15 minutes. Closed down the whole drive-through of McDonald's. Wouldn't let anybody in. The guards came. Now, they had to take his car. Turns out his licence was 6 months out of date. Right? He took his car and they said he's going to be someone. I said, what happened from there? He turned around and he said, he'd be brought to court, this, that, the other. So I said, your man says to me... was there much
damage caused?
Yeah, there was $2,500 worth of damage to my car. Right, when he hit it, with my wife and kids in the car. Okay? Then, what happened then was, so I got your man's name and address, and 4 days later I went down to his house with my quote for my car, and he's another car in the garden with no tax and insurance on it. Now, what happens to these people? Nothing happens to them when they're driving around with no insurance.
And
I have to pay that money to fix my car.
Sorry, did the guard tell you that there was anything you could do? Did he even mention the Motor Insurers Bureau or anything like that?
Look, for me to do all of that, my insurance, for me to claim off my own insurance, I have 20 years no claims bonus. For me to claim off my insurance goes through the roof. It's cheaper for me to fix my own car.
Right, okay. That was a couple of weeks ago on this programme. And we're asking whether or not you fully support what the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland are saying, that you face the seizure of your assets or your vehicle, mandatory debt repayment, bankruptcy proceedings if necessary, and the sale of your home or even imprisonment. Is it all worth that? To drive without insurance? And is there anybody who can put up an argument for me as to why? My belief is, if you can't afford insurance, you can't afford the car. It's as simple as that. They go hand in hand, and you can go and get a car cheap, but if you can't afford the insurance, then you can't actually afford the car either. Yet thousands of you are doing exactly that, driving without insurance. Now, let me read this message from a lady called Sue, and it says, I'm delighted to hear that the MIBI will be seeking costs from uninsured drivers. As the victim of an uninsured driver, I have suffered financially for years while recovering from my injuries. Yet the person responsible got away scot-free. She should be made at least pay for all the legal costs as I'm expected to pay. Due to her selfishness, I've not been able to work for over 3 years, living on benefits and just about making ends meet, while her life is unaffected and the accident hasn't cost her a cent. Drag them through the courts and make them pay. I can't speak on air as my case is currently still going through the courts and I don't want to jeopardise it, says Sue. Where am I going? Let me go to Reese. You're on 98 FM. How are you, Reese?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Reese, do you support this tough attitude with uninsured drivers?
100%. 100%. There's no excuse to not have insurance. Absolutely no excuse. At the moment, I'm looking for a car with my girlfriend. We were getting quotes off insurance companies for a ridiculous amount of money, but we still didn't go ahead with it. We didn't go ahead with the insurance. We didn't buy the car because we can't afford the insurance.
And that's exactly the point that I was making a second
exactly.
ago, that if you can't afford the insurance, you can't afford the car.
100%. I agree that all of the car should be taken off them. If anyone gets caught without insurance, the car should be taken off them 100%. And if they do cause a collision, yes, seize the assets, do whatever they can to get more money out of them to pay for the crash.
Because it appears that up until now, up until this point, the uninsured driver seems to have been able to get away, like that message I just read out a second ago, seems to have been able to get away scot-free with no risk of anything, basically.
I know, and it's a shame because I feel sorry for the poor people that an uninsured driver hit. Because actually, a friend of mine just said it to me not long ago. Said that an ex-colleague of his who has no driver's license, no tax or insurance or NCT is driving on the road currently, and this person crashed into an old lady. The old lady was ringing the guards, and he jumped into his car and drove off. And that lady now has to pay for her own damage. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous, especially with a person with no driver's license, let alone insurance.
Okay, so you think it's about time that they announce that they're going to start coming down like a ton of bricks on people who are involved in accidents and who are driving without insurance?
Of course, 100%.
All right, Reese, 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. This message says uninsured drivers should have their cars taken from them, face bankruptcy and lose their home as well as go to prison for driving uninsured. This is long overdue. The same punishment should be given to parents of underage youths who steal cars, drive them, and then set the cars alight in a field, which happens often in some areas of Dublin. And one last one, I'd like if the state was forced to cover the cost of someone driving without insurance, then they recoup it from the driver whatever way they want. Some will drive off and get away, but the state should look after its citizens, says Peter. And and one more message. I hope they take their cars off them. Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, thank you for your calls. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy. We're here till midday today. Now, on a slightly lighter note, or is it a lighter note?
By the way, do you shop around just on the last issue? Do you shop around for car insurance?
Yeah, I did only last July and saved €450 by shopping around.
Okay, the reason I'm asking that is because just as you were talking about that there, I've been with the same insurance company for the last 5 years. My insurance is up in the first week of February. And I got the letter from the insurance company to say your insurance premium for next year, and it hasn't gone down at all. I've never shopped around for insurance. It's something I just don't do. I'm sure a lot of you listening don't shop around for insurance because... The reason I don't shop around for insurance is because it's less hassle just to say, I'll take out the insurance with you again.
Yeah, and I've been doing that for years until this year when my insurance went over €1,000. It's just been going up and up and up, and it went over €1,000.
Same as mine, yeah.
And that was a psychological thing for me. I said, no, I'm not having this.
What I'm trying to say is, how much hassle is it for me to shop around for insurance?
It's no hassle at all.
I have the letter from Allianz, okay, and it arrived yesterday, and it says if you want to renew it again, you don't have to do anything because you signed up to direct debit.
Yep.
If you don't want to, or if you want to renew again, just leave it as it is. And I'm like, for the sake of hassle.
So is your insurance over €1,000?
What? It's not over 1,000.
Right.
No.
Well, that was the final straw for me. I shopped around and I got it down to 650. The exact same cover.
Okay. How long does it take to shop?
It took me an hour or two.
Really?
Yeah. And isn't it worth €450?
But if you
that's what it saved me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Honestly. My insurance is now down to 650 instead of nearly 1,100.
And what do? Do you play one off against the other and say, well, Allianz is
yeah, and I actually tried to do that, and I got back to my own insurance company, who was AXA at the time, and I've been with AXA for donkey's years, and rang them back and said, look, this other company is offering me the same insurance for 650, and their answer was, sorry about that, tough.
So what you're saying is you can play them off against each other, and sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't work.
In this case, and I was a loyal customer with AXA for 30 years, they basically said, no, there's nothing we can do for you. Sorry about that.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I'm very happy with the new insurance company that I'm with, which is AIG, through Super Value Insurance.
Oh, they do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is for those people who are listening who have an insurance premium that's coming up now, like myself, coming up in 2 weeks, I should take an hour and a half maybe this evening.
Just to shop around, yeah.
And use a price comparison website, or just start putting in... See, do you have to put in all details into websites, how long you've...
Look, you don't have to do anything. You've just been told you don't have to. But if you want to pay a lot more for your insurance than you need to, off you go. That's the way they have you hooked. By making it so easy. Grand, you just don't do anything and your insurance will continue.
Because they know people like me are lazy and they're not going to shop around.
It. If you shop around, you can save money. I saved £450 this year by shopping around.
That's a substantial saving.
It's huge, yeah. Now, how do you get your kids to eat healthy food? It's a problem that many parents struggle with. Okay, every parent struggles with day in and day out. What did you do?
Well, there's a story in the news today about the elaborate lies that parents are now using to get their kids to eat vegetables. And the report says that children, by their very nature, will not eat fruit and vegetables. It's a struggle to get children to eat nutritious food. Nowadays, parents are coming up with more and more elaborate lies in order to get their kids to eat vegetables. So we were reading this story earlier on, and I'm a parent of a young child, so I can vouch for this. It's impossible to get kids to eat healthy food, isn't it? What were your kids like?
Yeah, they were bad at times, yeah.
Were they chicken nugget kids like a lot of kids?
Not quite that bad, but they were...
I mean, if you gave my child his way, he would have fish fingers with Nutella on them every day.
Lovely, yeah.
That's not... It sounds actually lovely, doesn't it? But that's not going to happen. So what parents are doing now is they're coming up with... And that's what we want to hear from you if you are a parent of a young child. What tricks do you use in order to get your children to eat vegetables? Because children, nobody comes out of the womb hating vegetables or fruit. You know what I mean? When you're born, you don't look at a courgette and go, oh, that's disgusting. So why do children not like vegetables and healthy food?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Is it psychological? Is it the colour of it?
I don't know.
Are we programmed not to like things that are green?
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
Here are some of and we want to get advice from you on how you get your kids to eat healthy food. And here are some of the things that parents are doing according to this article. Now, I don't agree with this one. Santa won't bring you any presents if you don't eat that broccoli, John.
It's a little bit harsh.
That's very harsh. Using Santa as a weapon. Now, would you do that?
Well, if it works.
If you don't, now again, I don't agree with this one. One parent in a state in America told their child that if they didn't eat fruit and vegetables, they would grow a moustache, and they would be the only 5-year-old child in school with a moustache.
Really? That's actually a thing?
Yeah. Here, Sean, eat that broccoli, or you're going to grow a Ronnie. Some more excuses that parents are coming up with, or games as well, because it says here that the old... Do you remember when you were a kid, the old choo-choo going into the tunnel game? Yeah. That doesn't work on kids anymore.
No, doesn't it?
No. Kids are a lot smarter nowadays. So when we were growing up, my mother and father used to do... Well, they did the aeroplane into the hangar.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Jeremy, here's the aeroplane. Open the hangar. And before you knew it, the food would be in your mouth. You can't do that anymore, so you have to come up with more.
Why can't you do it anymore?
Because kids are wise to it now.
Oh.
Kids are a lot cleverer than when we were kids, Adrian. Honestly, you say that to my child, yeah?
Yeah.
You know how clever my child is. You say to my child, look, here's the aeroplane. You just say, no, Daddy, that's a spoon with broccoli on it. It's not an aeroplane. What are you trying to do to me?
Okay, we want you to text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. How do you get your kids to eat food that they don't want to eat? That you know is good for them.
We're looking for advice, and we're looking for elaborate ideas of what you can do, apart from the Santa one. I don't agree. I think that's bordering on child abuse.
Yeah, that is nasty. Okay, text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
With Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale. Now on in all departments.
98 FM.
This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today on this Tuesday morning. Now, how do you get your kids to eat the food that they don't want to eat? Now, my mother struggled with me as a child to eat onions, and I never ate them, and to this day I still don't eat them.
You said your mother's cooking was horrible.
No, I didn't. I never
and
once
that
said
your wife's
that.
cooking is 10 times nicer than your mother's cooking.
I never once said that. Never. By the way, I often mention to you, if you can't take a phone call, you might be able to send us a sneaky WhatsApp message, which you can do. You just send a sneaky WhatsApp message to 0877 98 98 98, like this sneaky WhatsApp message.
All right, Jeremy and Adrian, what I used to do with my kid, he's a boy, so it was a bit easier. I used to play this game with him like that. If he ate his broccoli or his carrots or whatever it was, any vegetable, that we'd have this kind of a fist fight, like, you know, where you're pushing against each other. So if he ate his broccoli or his whatever else, he would get stronger than me. So that worked for me over the years. And also getting the old dinosaurs into it as well. I used to say, what's the biggest dinosaur? And he'd be like, a brachiosaurus. And they're like, yeah. And then what does he eat? All he eats is leaves and vegetables. It's very, very easy. But maybe it was just for me, though.
All right, thanks very much indeed. If you can't take a phone call, you might be able to send us nip outside your office or whatever and send us a sneaky WhatsApp message, voice message to 0877 98 98 98.
Now let me try this with you, Adrian, before we go to the calls.
Yeah, go on.
So I have in front of me a couple of mushrooms that I got in the kitchen.
Lovely,
so,
yeah.
I know you hate mushrooms.
No, I love mushrooms. So it's onions I don't like.
Oh, it's onions. I got the wrong bloody vegetable. Okay, so you don't pretend you don't want to eat these mushrooms, okay?
Okay.
So let me get the spoon, okay? So you're little baby Adrian, okay?
Yeah.
Let me just get up here. Hang on, okay? Now, you have to eat your mushrooms, Adrian.
Okay.
Play along, will you?
No.
Here's the aeroplane. Open the hangar. Doesn't work anymore.
No, oh, okay. I never knew that. Mary, how do you get your kids to eat vegetables?
Hello.
Hi,
guys. Well, it's never be a problem. People might say I'm lucky, but we never had problems with that. Why? When we eat together, and we eat the same, all of us. Maybe, you see, when they are young, when separate, you have something else on your plate, they might do different. They say, why should I eat this if they don't eat? So we do all the same, everyone the same. So she's 3 years old, she's eating all, except the peas. I don't know how to do her.
Oh, she can't. Peas are just a no-no, are they?
Yeah, I think but she never tasted them, she never picked them up, but she used to.
She just doesn't like the look of them.
Yeah, it's just, but we work on that. We just work on that. I'm not pressured put the pressure on her. Sorry for my English. So she loves the broccoli, she loves the cauliflower, she loves the carrots. So it's amazing. Yeah, I'm lucky.
Well, then you are very lucky, because I know an awful lot of parents really struggle with this. Neve, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Neve.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, thanks, Neve. Neve,
Adrian's delighted you just had a big spoonful of mushrooms.
yeah, they were lovely, yeah, because I love mushrooms.
Happy as Larry.
I don't have a problem with them.
I hate mushrooms.
Sorry?
I hate mushrooms.
Do you?
Oh, they're the food of the devil.
No, they're not.
The texture is horrific.
Oh, no, I love mushrooms. I absolutely love them. I can eat them on anything. It's just, but if you put an onion in front of me, I'll nearly get sick. I can't stand onions. I can't stand the smell of them, the taste of them,
But
everything.
what if they're chopped into like little burgers, no?
No, Adrian once, true story, Neve, sorry for this, Adrian. Myself and Adrian were once in a fast food restaurant, and Adrian ordered a burger with no onions, and the man behind the counter, Neve, gave him a burger with onions on it, and Adrian sent it back and said, I said, no onions. The man proceeded to do another burger for him with onions on it. Adrian lost the rag in the restaurant and even threw the burger at the man. True story. And you know what he said? I don't want effing onions. I told you twice.
And he did tell him twice.
I know you did.
Anyway, so that's how much I hate onions. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
So how did you get your kids to eat vegetables that are good for them?
My little guy is 5 and he's a bad eater, so particularly with fruit, I find it great if what we do is blindfold each other and put loads of berries, particularly like blueberries and strawberries, which can be known to be very sweet or sour. So we put them into a bowl, cover them in yogurt, and we blindfold each other. So we have to guess whether it's sweet or sour, judging by the other person's reaction, if that makes sense. So the blindfolded person has to eat the fruit, and I have to guess if his one is sweet or sour. And we obviously have to pull these big elaborate faces because he gets an awful laugh out of it because he thinks it's hilarious if I get an awfully sour strawberry. But it's just my way of coaxing him into eating a bowl of fruit. But if he eats it all, if it's a weekend, he'll get something sweet afterwards because I know he's eaten his big bowl of fruit. Or if it's during the weekday, we'll put like a little gold star onto his chart. And it kind of coaxes him along because if he gets enough gold stars during the week, at the weekend days, he gets something then as well. You know, that kind of way?
I never thought of that now, gold stars, because we used to use gold stars when we were teaching our young fella how to be potty trained, and he loved the gold stars.
Yeah.
But the problem about that eating in the dark, that's like I was in a restaurant in London last year where you eat in the dark.
You're blindfolded.
Yeah, have you ever heard of this restaurant, Adrian?
No.
It's called something Le Noir. It's a restaurant in London.
Yeah.
And basically you go into this restaurant and it's completely pitch dark.
Right.
This is true story. Have you been in it, Sarah? Or Neve, have you been in this restaurant?
Apparently, the people who serve in that restaurant are blind also. Did you hear that?
I didn't know.
The waitresses and everything are actually blind in a lot of the restaurants to give you like an authentic feel of what it's like to be eating blind.
Well, I was in it now and I didn't partake in the food, but I found it very...
So what did you go in for?
To have a look at what it was like, but I found it very odd that you would eat something not knowing what you had in front of you, like completely blind to it.
Yeah. Especially if it's onions or mushrooms.
You'd know what they are once you put them into your mouth, wouldn't you?
Straight away.
So gold stars, I'm going to write that down.
Gold stars as a reward, basically, for eating stuff that they... Did you struggle much?
Do I struggle with it?
Yeah.
No, not really, to be honest, because if you stick to the rewards at the weekend, so if he gets 5 or 6 out of 7, then he'll get a big prize. You know, that kind of way at the weekends. Like sometimes we'll take him to a little toy shop and let him pick out little bits, or other times we'll take him to do something at the weekend that he wants to do. You know, little things like that to help him eat.
So it's just blackmail, basically. That's what it's called, a spade.
Which is the lowest form of parenting possible, isn't it? Blackmailing your children.
And I swore I'd never be one of those people, but I'm one of those people.
All right, very good. Good to talk to you, Neve. Thanks very much indeed. My 6-year-old daughter loves her vegetables, can't get enough of them. Seriously, she eats all her broccoli before anything else. I think she's becoming a vegan, God help me, says that message. Where am I going now? Sarah, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Now, Sarah, what do you do? How do you get around this age-old problem of getting them to eat their veg?
Yeah, my daughter likes her veg. My son was a bit harder, but I tried a few things that I thought worked. And one of them is, if there's something he doesn't like, I get him to hold his nose. And then he actually believes that he can't taste the food if he has his nose held. and that gets him to eat his food. And then another thing I found worked is if you have 2 or 3 different vegetables on the plate, you tell them to choose 2 out of the 3, and then they will choose to be more happier to eat the 2 that they can tolerate more than the 3rd that they just don't want to go near. And I found that helped
so your
also.
thing is that you get your child to hold his nose so that he can't smell them, but he thinks he can't taste them either.
Yeah.
So it's like this. It's kind of like this. So, well, Mammy, what am I having to eat now for my dinner? What's that green thing on the table? Is that what it's like?
Well, no, he knows what it is. But this is only like the first two, maybe first or second time. And then after he's got used to eating it, he doesn't need to hold his nose anymore, and he starts to like it. And I've convinced him that it's all in his head. That he.
And where did you get this idea of holding your nose? Is it something you do yourself?
I probably did it as a kid. I can't remember. I'm not sure where I got it from. I think it's just.
But it works.
It works, yeah.
Okay,
imagine going on a date with Sarah. I'm sure you don't do that as a grown-up, Sarah. But imagine going out on a meal and you ordered something for Sarah.
Sarah's holding her nose.
You order Sarah spaghetti bolognese and she starts holding her nose on the date.
A bit odd, all right. Here's another WhatsApp message.
Sorry you couldn't take the call. It's very simple with my boys. They're football mad. Once you say Lionel Messi ate it as a kid, they scoff the vegetables down. Not a bother.
What a great idea.
No, that's not a good idea. Lionel Messi's only about 4 foot tall.
I know, but he's one of the best footballers in the world.
But you're basically telling your child, you eat this broccoli, then
you'll be 4 foot tall.
You'll be 4 foot tall. No.
One last call. Nicole, you're on 98 FM. Nicole, what do you do?
I blend all the vegetables and make a red sauce. My kids are none the wiser.
So they're getting all the nutrients, but it's just blended up into mush.
Yeah, because I love red sauce with everything, so they're getting all their vegetables as well.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, thanks, Nicole.
Basically prison food.
And finally, lads, if you hold your nose when eating, you can't actually taste anything.
That's a complete lie. Of course you can. Your taste buds are not connected to your nose.
But is it not all interlinked? It's the smell and everything as well, is it not? No?
Okay, during the next break, I'm going to bring you down some what food you really hate? Aubergines.
And aubergines,
yeah. I'm going to bring you down an aubergine, and I want you to... That's a big nose to hold, Adrian. I'm going to get you to hold your nose and see if you can taste the... Do you know what aubergines taste like?
No.
Well, then it's a waste of time. Ridiculous.
This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. We're going to take a quick break. On the way after that break, we're going to be hearing from one of our listeners who's very annoyed at receiving unsolicited, explicit photographs from men that she's talking to online. We're back in a sec. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Trish is here with Tuesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. 9 more bus routes are to switch from Dublin Bus to Go Ahead Ireland this weekend. It's the latest phase of changes being introduced on around 50 routes in the city. Most passengers shouldn't see a huge difference in services. Cervical Check campaigner Vicky Phelan's calling for a tribunal of compensation to be set up for victims ASAP. She was responding to a commitment by the Taoiseach to prioritise a tribunal in the first half of this year. There are at least 50 cases coming up this year. Gardaí are investigating an alleged sex assault on a female near Stillorgan. The alleged assault took place on the Lower Kilmacud Road last Thursday at 7 p.m. The investigation is ongoing. And there are delays to trains on the Coolmine Clonsilla line in Dublin. Irish Rail says Gardaí are dealing with the situation. And now you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's Tuesday morning. I hope everything is good in your world, and I hope you can stay with me between now and midday today. This is Adrian Kennedy, and this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. Next on the programme, we've 2 reasons for talking about this topic, and it's a topic that we've never actually discussed, yet it appears to be a huge issue for women, especially those who are on the dating scene at the moment. Men sending explicit pictures of themselves to women they've met online. These women don't ask for these pics, yet men seem to think it's perfectly okay to send these pictures unsolicited. Well, get a load of this. A report in the UK last week found that 4 in 10 young women have reported being sent unsolicited, explicit images, many on a weekly basis. A 2018 YouGov poll found that, shockingly, 4 in 10 women aged between 18 and 36 have been sent a photograph of a penis without having asked for one. And there are now calls to have a law brought in to have these men charged for sending explicit photographs. And over the weekend, a lady who wants to be known as Jen sent this message to our Facebook page. Have a listen to this. It's on a similar theme. Could you bring up something on your show, but please change my name? I am new to the dating scene after just getting out of an 8-year relationship. I joined some online dating apps and sites, and I'm very surprised by how creepy some men on these apps are. I am by no means stuck up, but I have received at least 10 explicit photographs from random men I swapped numbers with since signing up about 2 months ago. I'm just wondering, is this the norm? I'm sorry, but I don't want to be getting pictures like this, no more than I would want a bloke to flash me out in a public place. And I don't think any woman actually does. People like myself should be able to use dating apps without having to look at pictures like that. Have any of your listeners experienced the same thing? I think there needs to be a big clampdown on this kind of thing. As far as I'm aware, there is no law against this, which I find bizarre. Something needs to be done to stop creeps like this thinking it's okay to do this, because it is not, says Jen. Please let me know if you're willing to talk about this so I can make sure I can tune in. And that's from a lady called Jen, who is listening now, I'm told. So, I'd love to hear from you. Are you a woman who has received unsolicited, explicit images, or a man for that matter, you didn't ask for them, and you're talking to somebody on a dating app, or you've swapped numbers and you're talking on WhatsApp, and bang, a photograph that you never asked for, but they thought it was perfectly okay? Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. And we decided to track down a woman who has received these messages unrequested. Tracy, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Tracy.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good, thank you, Tracy. Well, you have received lots in the past.
Yeah, like, you know, with these like WhatsApp groups, especially in work, there's like, we have like a big WhatsApp group, and one guy in particular would like get a load of these pornographic videos and pictures and everything. Some of them are funny, some of them are just downright like crude and all, but like, you know, we all get a good laugh out of them, but I had to ask him to stop, because I'm lying in bed and my phone is there hopping, and my fella's going, what's the story? What's your man sending all these porno pictures and all? It's like, it's just your man, like, it's just brand. And he's like, it's not really. And he said to me, like, oh, what if a girl from my job was sending me that? And I was like, all right, fair enough, yeah, okay, would be a bit annoyed. But, like, I do get where your one is coming from, but at the same time, I don't think you should be bringing in the law. I mean, like...
Well, it is something that has been considered in the UK, where 4 in 10 young women have reported being sent unsolicited, explicit images very regularly.
Like, when I joined Snapchat, I didn't have my account on private, and next time I was getting these dick pics, like, constantly. So I just hid it, like, you know, I put it on private, problem solved. And then on Instagram, you get them all the time, and you have to approve a picture, but, like, use your cop on. If you don't know the person, don't accept the pictures, you know?
It's as simple as that?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a law.
It sounds like you're not that offended.
No, because there's perverts everywhere, you know? But, like, just don't accept the pictures or whoever you're...
Okay, but what this lady is saying is that she's using dating apps, and, you know, when she starts talking to... maybe, you know, if she swaps numbers with somebody, the first thing he seems to think it's perfectly okay to do is to send a photograph of his manhood. Like,
my advice to that girl is to delete all the dating apps and go out to a pub or somewhere and meet an actual genuine person instead of these stupid dating apps.
Well, stupid dating apps are what people are doing now.
Yeah, but it's stupid. Like, I'm really against these. God forbid if my fella ever dumped me, and I would never go on them. Like,
you don't know that you wouldn't, though.
I definitely wouldn't. Like, we hear all the stories. Like, the ones that are ringing into you, complaining about them. It's like, just go out and meet someone instead of over the phone. Like, what's happened to communication now? People are just too busy on their phones with these apps. Go out and meet a real person.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Tracy. 6797981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. A report from the UK, and you have to assume it's fairly similar here, found that 4 in 10 young women have reported being sent unsolicited, explicit images regularly. These women aged between 18 and 36 have been sent a photograph of a penis without having asked for one. And I want to find out how big a problem it is here. And this is a question that I want to aim primarily at women. Okay, so primarily at women. And here is the question that I want to ask you. In the last year, have you received an explicit image that you did not request? Okay, through whatever means, whether it's on a dating app or in a work WhatsApp group or whatever. Have you been sent an explicit image that you did not request? This is aimed primarily at, although it can be aimed at men as well, to be honest with you. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. I want to get a flavour of how big a problem this is here. So have you been sent an explicit photograph that you did not request in the last year, let's say? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Let's find out how big a problem it is here. In the UK, 4 in 10 young women have reported being sent unsolicited photographs, and we want to find out whether or not it's the same here. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Sarah, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Sarah.
How you doing?
Sarah, you've also received a number of unsolicited photographs.
Yes.
Through what sort of means? How are you getting them?
So this is what my question is. So I received, obviously you meet people on dating apps or whatever, but I received pictures on Snapchat. I've never received them on anything else. Now obviously, as that other girl said, you get like messages sent to you on Instagram and you can accept or decline the message. If I don't know the person, I always decline it. My Facebook is private. But Snapchat is where you get sent them because people can send them and then they're gone. Like how is there going to be any jurisdiction over it because the messages get deleted? So I would say
okay, in Snapchat,
don't use Snapchat.
In Snapchat, it might be a difficulty to prove, but there are many other ways that these photographs are being sent. And the example that this lady is given is that she might swap phone numbers with a guy that she might be interested in from Tinder or whatever. And you have to eventually swap numbers in order to take things to the next level, if you like, to arrange to meet or whatever. And as soon as she swaps numbers, they think their best chat up line is to send a dick pic.
Is that on WhatsApp, though, that she's messaging them?
Yes.
It is WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Well, I've never received them on WhatsApp. I just am curious because I know a number of friends who've received them on Snapchat because they know that they're gone and there's no proof really. But I've never received them on WhatsApp. So I was just curious to know, like, that's crazy that she received them on WhatsApp. If I ever see someone on a dating app.
No, like I said, this is where she swaps numbers with somebody that she's met on Tinder, and one of their first chat up lines is to send her a photograph.
It's just disgusting. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. I would straight away then just block their number the second you get to that sent. The only time I tend to wait. Now I know people have all different rules of how quick they meet people on these apps, but I tend to, if I even use them, I will message someone for at least a week to kind of get a vibe that they're not just about that before even giving my number. I would hold off to give your number, even hold off giving your number until you go on a date with them. Like, don't communicate on WhatsApp until after you've gone on a date, or just stay on Tinder and message them on that. I know it's a bit annoying, but at least you're not going to be sent that. I hold off to give them my number.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Sarah. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. If you want to send us a WhatsApp voice message, which, by the way, we will look at beforehand. We will listen to before we play it on the radio. Just like this, to 0877 98 98 98.
That last girl was completely right, but it's a generational thing. The kids, they just haven't a clue. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to go out and talk to someone and meet them and ask them questions and, you know what I mean, get to know someone. They just don't know how to do it. It's just... As I said, it's a generational thing.
All right, I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Or just like that, you can send, if you can't take a phone call, you can send us a sneaky WhatsApp message to 0877 98 98 98. Where am I going? By the way, very interesting results to our survey as well, where we're asking you, have you received an unsolicited, explicit image from somebody in the last year? What I want you to do is text the word yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Text yes or no to that number and answer the question, have you received an unsolicited explicit photograph in the last year? Okay, text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Now, where am I going? Dave, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Dave?
Morning, Adrian.
Dave, how do we stop this? This seems to be a huge problem.
Shame them.
Shame them?
Yeah, sure, I mean, if your one's getting, dick pics off fellas, obviously she knows who they are. She's getting their number. It wouldn't be too hard to track them down on social media. And shame him. Find out if his man's on social media. Say, oh, look what your son has been sending me.
I know, but you're in very dangerous territory there in terms of... Well, you just are, because
They opened the door. They're the ones who started it. Don't be sending unsolicited dick pics if you can't, don't do the crime if you can't do the time, basically. I guarantee you to stop it. They think twice about doing the second time. I've read about women doing it on social media before, and it worked out well for them. One fella turned out to be married, and his wife wasn't too happy when she found out.
Well, I should imagine not.
No.
Okay, so publicly shame them.
Yeah, publicly shame them.
Do you support the idea of having people charged for sending unsolicited, explicit photographs?
I don't know. Maybe, look, if it's a once or twice kind of a thing, I don't think you should be charged for being a gobshite, They can't really legislate for stupidity, but maybe if it's an ongoing thing, it kind of goes into the realm of harassment. And, it can really, mess you up, because mine, back when we were in school, sent a dick pic to his missus, and she went to a convent with about 1,000 girls, and the picture went around the school quicker than the vomiting book. All the girls at school had a copy of a picture of his little ginger Willie, and he didn't live that down for a long time. We still take the piss out of him over it,
Okay, so shame them, basically, is your answer to this. Not charge them, just shame them.
In fairness, how do you get people to stop doing something? If the threat of being publicly shamed and having your dirty laundry aired in public, that will stop a person from doing something. It would stop me. I don't know how these lads even think it's funny. I mean, willies aren't nice to look at. Most women will even tell you that. How does any person think, I'm going to send her a picture of my penis and she's going to love me? It's pure stupidity.
Yeah, but maybe it's the porn era that we're living in, that men... not all men. Some men think that that's what you do.
Well, if it is coming from, say, younger people, maybe people just barely into their 20s or their teenage years, I nearly blame it on the generation that's growing up watching shows like Geordie Shore and shit like that. Because we have an entire generation of kids now who've grown up watching that stuff thinking it's acceptable. And I see it myself when I go out to the pub, the behaviour out of them. My local had to shut down because the boys from the local hurling team went mad. And it was the very same behaviour if you watch one of these stupid reality TV shows. The way they were going on. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's the porn era. Maybe it's a combination of all that stuff mixed together. I just can't understand how any fellow will go, geez, I'm after getting this young one's number. Because in my day, it'd be right, I got her number. I'm going to bring her to a nice restaurant and I'm going to try and swoon her, How anybody thinks I'm going to take a picture of my Willie and I'm going to send it to her and she's going to love that. I can't understand the mindset of somebody who's doing it.
I can't myself, and the only explanation that I have in my head is that some young men, not all obviously, but some think that they've been watching loads of porn and that's what you do to get a woman interested in you.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a decent explanation. Like, I'm with my missus 14 years. I've never sent her a picture of my Willie. I kept spamming her one day with pictures of the past Vice President of America, Dick Cheney, and she just texted me back to go, stop sending me dick pics, and that was just for a joke. That's the closest I've ever gotten sending her a dick pic.
All right, stay there for a second, Dave. 6797981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about unsolicited, explicit images being sent, and 4 in 10 young women have reported being sent unsolicited, explicit images. That was from a survey from the UK, and we've been asking you whether or not you are in the same boat. Have you received unsolicited, explicit photographs from somebody that you might be talking to online or whatever? Here is the result of that poll. We've been asking you that question, and the poll shows, this is quite worrying actually, 63% of you who answered our survey have received unsolicited, explicit photographs in the last year. 63% of you have. 37% of you haven't, but 63% of you have received unsolicited, explicit sexual photographs from somebody that you might have gotten in contact with through Tinder or whatever. Alan, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Alan. What did you want to say?
I was just saying, like, those lads that send out photos are cowards, like, because if they were to meet any of the girls in public, they wouldn't say a word to them, but yeah, they will just send a dick pic, and it's just... It's
like this age-old thing of people being really brave behind a keyboard or behind...
Exactly, trolls and stuff like that, yeah. But going back, no, I don't think shaming them, I think shaming them, it's too murky water to go down, but I definitely think something like, if the girl could go to the guards and find them, it's at the end of the day, it's like someone coming and, flashing the girl. He's going to get arrested, he's going to be done for, I don't know, whatever the law is there for flashing. But, something similar like that. Because I'm sure, like, a lot of the girls, they don't want the photos, as the last guy said, like, the penises are not attractive. Like, I don't know, has that ever worked on a girl? Has a girl ever got a photo and go, oh my God,
I have to have him.
I have to have it.
I doubt it.
I doubt it myself.
Yeah, and that is, unless there's a woman listening to us now who got one of these photographs and went, oh my God, I have to have him, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our next poll. to see, but I doubt it.
The point being, you're wasting your time, lads, because it's not something that is going to appeal to women.
Definitely. Like I said, I've been out. I'm single and I've been on Tinder and POF and 9 out of 10 women have said they've got a photo like that, and they've showed me some of the photos, and some of the photos I've looked at and I'm good. Are these people for real? Like, does this ever work? Like, it's like some of the photos I've even seen, and that's the other thing, like, if they're showing me the photos, they're showing their friends the photos, so God knows how many people have seen a photo of whatever they've sent.
Stay there for 1 second, lads. It isn't working. Women aren't interested in seeing these photographs, so why are you even sending them? Although, Tom, you believe that some women actually ask for these photographs.
Sure.
Okay, but that doesn't fall into the category of unsolicited photographs. You know what I mean? If a woman asks for an explicit photograph, that's completely different. She has asked for it. This survey shows that 4 in 10 young women have been sent unsolicited explicit messages. In other words, they didn't ask them.
I tell you something, Adrian. It's happened to me. I did ask for pictures, and they sent pictures. Not many of them, but it happened. It happened. So they sent pictures as well, and they asked for pictures as well, right? They ask for pictures, but women are very clever, right?
But are they asking for a picture of your face, or are they asking for a picture of your manhood?
Manhood. Oh, yeah, they don't. But you see, Adrian, they are very clever. They don't ask you to send it straight away, like, you know. So are you going to gym? Yeah. Do you have a six-pack? Yeah. Can you send me a picture of your body? Yeah. And can you go a little bit lower? Yeah. So that's how they do. I tell you something, right? I was in those dating sites, right? And I find 80% of women, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for pictures. They're looking for fun. They're looking for. I mean, I don't want to say dating site. It's sex site, all right. That's what they're looking for. I mean, if you want to shame men, shame women as well. They do the same. Not much.
So hang on.
Right?
Have you received an unsolicited?
I did.
You did.
I did.
Right.
I did. Honestly, I swear to God, I did.
From a woman.
And not many of them. All right, they are not bad as we are. Okay, but there are some of them. There are some. I met few girls. All right, and they told me about the man asked for Skype before it was Skype, and when they turn on the Skype, they show everything. You know that men are bad, but there are some women as well. They send the pictures as well, right? And a lot of them, if you ask pictures, and they don't mind to send it straight away, they will send it to you.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Let me read out this message that's just come into us, and it says, I was online dating in my 30s and received many unsolicited photographs from men in their 30s and 40s. They know it's not going to make a woman be attracted to them. They don't care. It's about showing off, male ego. That's it. And she says, I have expressly said I did not want one and have still been sent them. Asking for a picture is not unsolicited. Of course, there are women who will ask. So asking is solicited. Yeah, no, I get that. But basically, she is saying that she has expressly said, I don't want any of your dirty pictures, and they send them anyway. Let me just squeeze in one or two very quick calls. John, married man, but you've also gotten pictures unsolicited from women.
I have one, yeah. A little while ago on Facebook Messenger, I was sitting watching TV and a message came in, and I opened it and I said, what the hell? And the missus was sitting beside me.
Yeah.
I just showed her. And I said, who's that? And she said, who that was? It was a girl that worked in a hospital that I used to deliver to, like, in an office. And we got on well, okay, like, you know. We chatted and things like that. Now, she knew I was married. My Facebook profile picture is me and the missus and the two kids.
But that didn't stop her.
No, she sent a little text underneath, remember me, and her boobs out, like, you know, with her face and all, like, you know. I showed my missus sitting there, the two of us just laughed, and she looked her up on Facebook and texted her back, says, stop showing your tits to my husband.
And was that the end of that?
It was the end of that. She sent me a text a few weeks later just to say, sorry about that, I think I was drunk and things like that, like, you know.
Right.
I never replied or anything like that, but it does happen, like, you know, between men and women, like, both get these sort of pictures, like, you know. It's just the way life is nowadays, I think, you know.
All right, well, what I'm hearing is that an awful lot of women, unless they specifically ask for them, don't want them. And finally, Michael, this is man bashing, is it?
I think it's man bashing, Adrian, yeah.
How?
It's very imbalanced reporting.
Well, no, that last call, he got a photograph from a woman that he didn't ask for. So.
I know, but the majority of it seems to be about men. Like, look, a lot of it is young guys anyway who are doing it. Not young guys who don't know what the limits are now because of technology and this kind of carry on and pornography. And as someone was saying there about the Geordie Shore or something, you know, young people have a different sense of. See,
I don't totally agree that it's all just young people.
Yeah, I'm trying to clear my throat. I'm not. Hang on. So you've also got to add in the fact that a lot of women are being conditioned and manipulated into, like, you know, being victims, and if you know, so automatically women go into this victim role, like the Me Too thing and all this, and but women do it as well. I'm not saying there isn't perverts out there, but women do it as well. Like, I got a Snapchat from a girl, an overweight girl once. She was naked. I'm not even telling you what was on the video, but
this was totally unsolicited. No, I not for 1 second have we said that it doesn't happen the other way around. I just don't believe it happens the other way around as much.
Well, no, women don't do, because women don't have penises to send pictures of, but they do other things. I know women who will use that and hold it over men as well. They'll use it to manipulate and to blackmail men as well. So women have their way of being bad.
All right, Michael, it's not intended to be a man-bashing thing at all. And like I said, our last call there was saying about receiving unsolicited messages himself from a woman. Your caller is right. I've got unsolicited pictures and videos of women before. Mind you, I'm not complaining. Says that message. My sister has been on a particular dating site and has been sent photographs from a man she knew who was married and had kids. And from what I hear, she had always received these types of pictures when she was on it. So she has since deleted her account, says that message. All right, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls, comments, texts and opinions. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. On the way after the break, should children born in Ireland to non-national parents be granted citizenship? Well, this is being brought before the Dáil this week. We'll be talking to the TD behind it straight after the break.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale, now on in all departments.
98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. You will remember a couple of weeks back on this programme before Christmas, we spoke of the case of a young boy called Eric, 9 years of age, from a school in Bray, an online petition set up to highlight the fact that he was facing deportation from the state back to China, despite the fact that he has never known any other life than life in Ireland. And it has brought back into focus the whole issue of citizenship here in Ireland. A bill that would restore the right of those born in Ireland to become Irish citizens is to be debated in the Dáil this week. Back in 2004, the majority of us voted in the citizenship referendum to change the law, meaning that children born here to non-national parents would no longer be automatically entitled to citizenship. Now, this was won by a very large majority in the belief at the time that people were arriving from far-flung corners of the world, getting off an aeroplane heavily pregnant and giving birth, and then the whole family staying in the country. Now, whether there was ever any proof that actually happened is a matter for debate. Anyway, the man behind this proposed new legislation is Dublin Southwest TD Paul Murphy joins me on the line. Paul, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, Adrian. Thanks for having me on.
Paul, what is the current situation for a lot of people are very familiar with the case of young Eric from Bray, born in Ireland, has never known any other life than life in Ireland, but born to non-national parents. What is the current situation in Irish law?
Well, the current situation, unfortunately, puts people like Eric, and at the moment there's about 200 other live deportation orders against minors in Ireland. It puts them in great danger of having their lives here ended and sent back to countries that they've never even lived in. Because of the law which changed in 2004, like you say, people who are born here, depending on their parents, don't necessarily anymore have the right to automatic citizenship. That amounts to discrimination. And what it opens the door to is a couple of things. One, in the extreme case, is the kind of deportations that we've seen with Eric. The second one is as those children reach 18, and at the moment the oldest of them will be 15 because this only came into being from the 1st of January 2005. But as they reach 18, their rights can be significantly affected. So, for example, they wouldn't be able to access a free fee scheme and be able to access third-level education. They wouldn't necessarily be able to access the right to work. And, of course, they wouldn't be able to access the right to vote. in all the elections that Irish citizens can vote in. So,
primarily because they're not Irish citizens.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, back in 2004, in that referendum, we voted overwhelmingly, and it was a very high margin, in favour of this referendum, which basically means that there is no automatic right to citizenship if your parents are both foreign nationals. Do we not have to have another referendum in order to change that?
No, because what that referendum did actually was that it removed the constitutional right of everybody born in Ireland to Irish citizenship, but then it left it up to the Dáil as to how it would legislate. And so the Dáil then, after that referendum, took away any legislative right from the Dáil for people in those circumstances also to become citizens. But the Dáil can also reverse that law, so not reverse the referendum, but reverse the law and provide...
Okay, and what it says in our constitution is basically that you're not entitled to citizenship, blah, 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 unless provided for by law. And that's what it actually says in our constitution now. Okay, so we don't have to go back to have a referendum in order to change the current law. Sunday Times poll recently showed 71% of people are in favour of changing the citizenship law. But the worry that some people have, Paul, is that this could open the floodgates to what they think was the problem before that referendum. In other words, people arriving into the country, heavily pregnant, giving birth, and then them all staying.
Yeah, and like you say, that was a big factor in the referendum in 2004, and that was brought forward by a Fianna Fáil PD government, which kind of pointed towards migrants as a way of distracting from the crisis in the public services, in particular the health service at that time. And there was this idea of like birth tourism taking place. But at that point and since, there was never any evidence whatsoever presented to suggest that this is an actual problem as opposed to an imagined problem designed to whip up, division between people.
Okay, so what does your new bill propose in terms of dealing with this? So, for example, and this, like I said, was a fear at the time, would there be the possibility of opening up Ireland to so-called birth tourism if your bill was to become law?
Well, so what the bill would mean very simply is that anybody who is born here would be entitled to Irish citizenship. A consequence of that and the interaction with the European Union court case known as the Zambrano case means that parents could apply for permission to remain on the basis that an Irish citizen has their right, like an Irish citizen who is a child, has the right to access their parents.
Okay, so doesn't that open it up to birth tourism then?
But birth tourism, I mean, this will go back to kind of effectively how the law was before 2004, but without it being in the Constitution. But birth tourism didn't exist as a thing before 2004, and we don't think it's going to exist as a thing now. I mean, people don't, move across the world or get pregnant based on those kind of motivations of seeking to be a citizen of Ireland or seeking to have the right to remain in Ireland.
Now, I know you're saying before 2004 there was no actual evidence, but isn't it a possibility? And isn't that one of the reasons that people voted in such overwhelming numbers in favour of the referendum back in 2004?
But I think evidence is important, and I think, how do you explain the significant change in opinion as indicated by the latest opinion poll? 71% of people...
Perhaps based specifically on that case of that young boy from Bray.
I think that case and others like it, right? And that's evidence. That's evidence that the current regime, post-2004, inherently has, a very significant injustice in it, whereby children who are, to all intents and purposes, Irish, are not treated as being Irish and as a consequence can be deported. I mean,
indeed, I understand in some cases some children have absolutely no citizenship.
Yes, that can also be the case, exactly. I mean, on these individual cases of injustice, various government ministers, like Minister Harris, who is the local TD for Bray, where Eric's case was centred, has spoken out in favour of his right to stay. That's fine, that's good, that's welcome, and it's good, obviously, that Eric wasn't deported. But it isn't good enough just to look at each case on an individual humanitarian basis. We need to stop these sort of injustices taking place. We need to avoid, a serious problem happening in 3 years' time whenever some of these children become 18 and are denied very, very basic rights that I think it's clear from the opinion poll that most people would like these young people to be able to access.
Okay, so your proposal, your bill, will allow citizenship to be granted to anybody born here in Ireland. Is that correct?
Correct.
Regardless of their parentage?
Correct.
But would that give those parents an automatic right to stay if their child is granted citizenship?
It wouldn't give them an automatic right to stay, and it would give them no right to citizenship, but it would give them the right to apply to remain and to request to remain in the country. And I think that's reasonable, from the point of view of I'm a 3-year-old or 4-year-old or 5-year-old. I have a right to have access
my mammy and daddy with me.
Parents.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's not unreasonable.
Okay, so Paul, just to go back again for one last time, you do not believe that granting citizenship to children born in this state will open the floodgates to people landing in this country to have babies?
I don't believe it, because there's no evidence for it, and because when the law was like this, it wasn't a phenomenon. I mean, the law that we are seeking to change to, where you have to go back to have the right to citizenship on the basis of birth, is the law that currently exists within the US. And it's a source of uproar across the US and in much of the world that Donald Trump is seeking to reverse that. Donald Trump is seeking to undo that. And Donald Trump is seeking to bring the US law on citizenship effectively in line with the current position in Ireland. I think most people don't want to be in line with kind of Donald Trump's view on the rights of migrants.
Finally, Paul, how do you explain the dramatic shift in opinion in just 14 years from 79% in favour of the constitutional referendum back in 2004 to what appears from the Sunday Times poll, 71% in favour of totally reversing that? How the shift in 14 years?
Because I think people have seen what this means, what the change in law has meant and the injustices that it produces. For example, in the case of Eric, for example, a slightly different case in the case of a guy called Nonzo, and other people who have, had their cases widely publicised. And on the basis of that experience of these injustices, people want the situation changed and want an end to discrimination of any discrimination on the grounds on which citizenship is given out based on where people's parents are from as opposed to where people themselves are born.
All right, Dublin Southwest TD, Solidarity People Before Profit TD, Paul Murphy, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on 98
Thanks
FM.
a lot, Adrian. On
the way after the break, I'm going to be talking to one caller who believes that birth tourism actually is a thing.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale, now on in all departments.
98 FM.
So it's a debate that has gone on since 2004 when we had that referendum, and Paul Murphy, TD, is bringing a bill before the Dáil this week to essentially legislate to allow children born in this country to be given citizenship. You can text or WhatsApp your opinion to us. We don't have too long on this, to 0877 98 98 98. Here's a message that's been sent in to us on WhatsApp.
Lad, I see it this way. If the parents aren't Irish, the child is not a citizen. Because if that does come back into legislation, what's going to happen? The child's born here, the child is a citizen. What government in their right mind is going to separate a mother from that child? So the mother's going to get citizenship, and there's all the benefits and all bang straight in.
Okay, but the opposite to that is, how do you deal with a young fella like Eric, 9 years of age, who has never known any other life in Ireland, or any other life but in Ireland? Evelyn, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
Now, Evelyn, you lived in Spain, and you're saying that this was a problem in Spain.
It was a big problem in Spain, and they changed the law because they were coming on boats and risking their lives for the children to be born in Spain. And to stop them doing this and to stop them risking their lives and the baby's life, they changed the law. My daughter was born in Spain. She didn't have a right to be a Spanish citizen.
Didn't have a right?
No.
Because of the change in law, is what you're saying?
Yes, because
right,
of
okay.
the change in law.
But because of your citizenship, she's an Irish citizen, I assume?
Obviously, she's an Irish citizen, yes.
Okay, so how do you cope then with cases like the case of...
The case is, it's very, very simple. I read an article not so long ago in The Guardian. Apparently in Canada they're having a problem of Chinese coming over. They're actually 9 months pregnant. They're staying in hospitals beside the maternity hospitals and giving birth so that the children can have a Canadian passport.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even staying there. They're going back. But then the child has a Canadian passport. But it's ridiculous. So what I'm not saying not give citizenship to this child. What I'm saying basically is that if the parents are working in the state for a certain amount of time, well then the child has a right to a citizenship. But
okay, so you think it should be left as it currently is, that each case gets dealt with individually?
No, it's not dealt with. They could just say if parents have been here 2 years working, well then the child can have citizenship. But if the parents have just arrived a month ago, they can't. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
It's not stopping
so
them from
it should be based on time rather than an automatic right.
It should be based on habitual residence status. That's what everything is based on.
Okay, so in a case like young Eric, he's here...
He would automatically have the right because his parents were residing here. His parents are living and working here. It's habitual residence status.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Evelyn. But not an automatic right to citizenship based on where you're born.
That it should be automatically because I don't know if you're going to have a huge amount of cases or small amount of cases, but you will have cases
of birth tourism.
Yes, you will.
Okay, stay there for a second. Where am I going now? Liz, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Adrian.
Liz, you're against reversing these the effect of that constitutional referendum as well, are you?
Yeah, completely. I think it's ridiculous to even be bringing it back up in the Dáil. I just don't understand it. In the case of that specific one in Bray, that child is 9. The law was brought into effect in 2004, so I'm sorry, but his parents knew full well that the child wasn't going to get citizenship.
I understand that, but in some cases, sorry, Liz, in some cases, it's the fault of the state that cases aren't being dealt with for years and years and years.
Oh, I fully understand that. I do. I fully understand that. But at the same time, don't come along when the child is 9 and say, "Oh, you can't not give him citizenship because he's been here all that long."
No, but the point being, had their case been dealt with, when the child was 1 or whatever, they could have been deported from the state when he was 1. Instead, it has taken donkey's years.
Problem. But what's the difference between deporting the child when he's 1 and the child when he's 9?
Because all of his friends, all of his schooling is all... He knows no other life.
So... There's plenty of foreigners come into the country that don't know any other life but the life they're leaving, and yet they set up a life here. I mean, that happens every day of the week, no matter whether it's because you want to or because you don't. At the end of the day, even if the government the state had looked at their case when the child was first born, they probably would have been deported. Now, I understand that the problem is our state is so ridiculously slow that it doesn't deal with these issues as they come up, and it's been left so long. But at the end of the day, if the child was going to be deported when he's 1, I don't see the problem in deporting them when he's 9.
Okay, all right. Florin, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Florin.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
You believe that children born in Ireland should be granted automatic citizenship?
Yes. That I believe on that. Only what I am going to say to you, Adrian, and every single listener to your show. I'm saying like that. Every single case should be treated individually. Mm-hmm. Okay, you cannot accept anyone coming from any other countries, Romania, Poland, any countries in the world coming here, and in 3 months' time they have a baby. That's wrong, right? What I believe is look at the background of the parents, and if they worked, they pay camp here in Ireland, and they have a good background, then you have to look to see if the child could become a citizen, Irish citizen or not. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm nearly 20 years in Ireland. I don't have kids in Ireland, but if I would have a baby, do you know what I mean, now with my wife, I think the government, they have the authority to look at my background to see if what I've done, to check up on parents.
Yes, okay. So you're a resident here, you've been here for years, you're legally here. If you were to have a child, it should be an Irish citizen. All right, let me just bring in one last call. Unfortunately, I'm way out of time. Darren, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Darren.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Back to Paul Murphy. You're annoyed by what he was saying. Why?
Yeah, like he was saying that there's no evidence of basically people coming into Ireland heavily pregnant. But, like, does he not cop on that it's really so obvious that all these women do come into Ireland? Whether it's being recorded, people don't want to know about it, or purposely brush it aside. They do come into the country heavily pregnant, and sometimes they're only a day away from giving birth, and they're straight into the life of their rotunda or drogheda to give to babies. And I don't think they should be given automatic citizenship, because just because you have your baby, whether it be in Ireland, UK, America, that doesn't give you the right to be an automatic citizen. You're just, if you will, at that time, you're just.
Well, it does if you're born in it does if you're born in America. Although Donald Trump wants to reverse that, but that's the way it is at the moment. I know kids that have been born in America and they have American citizenship. But it isn't the case here. You think? Do you see any situation? Say, for example, with that little boy in Bray, should he be given Irish citizenship? Considering for the 9 years of his life, he is known no different than life in Ireland.
No, because his parents aren't Irish, he's not Irish. And look, I'm not a racist. I don't want to sound like, just show them off.
Sorry, Darren. This young fella was born and bred in Ireland. Now, I don't know what qualifies somebody to be Irish, but I would have thought being born and bred here is a fair qualification.
Well, to be honest, and I've listened to a few of your callers as well there, and I do agree with them. Just because you're, say, Chinese or whatever you are, and your child is born in Ireland, it still doesn't give you the right to, say, my child is Irish, and kind of run with it. Because,
Okay, you obviously also believe that this will open up the floodgates to what was described years ago as birth tourism. Anyway, Paul Murphy's bill is before the Dáil this week. We will watch with interest to see what happens with that and whether it does turn into legislation. And we'll keep in touch with that story over the next while, particularly based on the response we're after getting to that. Unbelievable. Anyway, thank you very much, Lee, for all of your calls, comments, texts and opinions. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. We're back with you again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. If you want to get in contact with us, send us a message to dublintalks@98fm.com. Barry Dunn is on the way in just a moment. In the next hour, he's got some great music lined up, like these.
Just don't go back to this. Love runs out till the love runs out. I like the money. Everybody back.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments. 98 FM.